So Nico, it's been a turbulent few years for the world of travel and tourism, but the US market at least appears to be booming again. Is booming too strong a description?
Eamon, good morning. I'm not sure if booming is too strong of a word or not. And you know what, it would be easy if I would have a very clear crystal ball and predict what the year might bring. What I can say, however, is that last year was a year that was challenging for many tour operators in the United States, including Brendan. And our business to Ireland was pretty solid, but it's a lot better this year.
Good.
And the first few months, actually starting with the 2 weeks before Christmas, have seen record bookings coming in. And I thought perhaps that's just something that will happen before the end of the year, and then it will sort of dry up. And we've seen record days one after the next. And that continues. And there is a weird problem that we are facing with, and that is hold times. Something that we've not seen last year or the year before that even. So we have people that wait to make a booking for a few minutes only, so it's not dramatic, but it's a good problem to have.
Sure.
And I'm delighted to say that especially Ireland, Brendan sells a lot of products around the world, but especially Ireland is doing extremely well for us. And we're talking about high double-digit growth, especially for our escorted tours that we operate here.
That's terrific. And of course here in Ireland we're inclined to think of Brendan as an Irish company. But of course it's now part of the Travel Corporation, a global giant in the world of travel and tourism that owns 24 brands, including Brendan Vacations, Insight Vacations, Trafalgar and Contiki, as well as many others. We'll come to Ireland later, but what are the hot global destinations apart from Ireland in 2013?
So I would say definitely Ireland is a hot destination,
right.
And that applies for the other brands that you mentioned as well. But we were indeed acquired in 2006. And depending on what type of product we sell, Brendan sells escorted or guided vacations as we call them. We have a subset of that which we call boutique journeys, and then we have FIT, or at least the definition that we've given it. And depending on what type of product, there are destinations that sell better than others. For example, within our boutique journeys portfolio, and these are guaranteed departure tours with no more than 24 guests, and we have one of those that we operate very successfully in Ireland. We thought that our Italy and France programs would be front runners, and we've proven ourselves wrong. Iceland, for example, for one mysterious reason that we really don't understand, is now a hot commodity, but it's on very small numbers.
Sure.
And then we have some Southeast Asian destinations, combinations with Thailand and Myanmar and Vietnam, that also see quite a bit of traction.
Sure.
On the guided vacations, we've seen a huge comeback of Europe. Last year, the Olympics made it very difficult for regular tour operators to operate in London, but also in the rest of the UK, and it kept people away. It also had an impact on American customers coming to Europe. They thought, I cannot have London part of my itinerary because a lot of the things that everybody wants to see in London were off limits or very difficult to get to. And so they sort of bypassed Europe as a whole. Now they're coming back, and that's great to see. And every country in Europe is really benefiting from that renewed interest in Europe.
Yeah, that's terrific. And of course, competitive air access is always vital for the well-being of the US market to Ireland. It could hardly be better, really, than this year, 26% increase in seat capacity. But I suppose you'd still like, I mean, you're national in the US, obviously, but you'd probably still like to see West Coast service. Is that a material thing from bookings from California, for instance?
It is and it isn't. And the reason I say that is, first of all, it's great to see that there is so much more air capacity coming into Ireland, whether that is Shannon or Dublin. And I must say and give a lot of praise to Minister Varadkar and the Ministry for keeping the airport taxes and the ancillary taxes and costs low, as opposed to many other countries, one not far away from here, where we see that there's an astronomical amount of taxes being charged, and it's keeping people away. So kudos to the government for keeping that under control. Second, there's very few cities or countries in Europe with this much of an increase, and it really is testament to the fact that Ireland is putting itself back on the map and seeing a lot of traction. Would we like to see a West Coast flight? Yes, we do. However, a lot of people need to make a connection anyway, and it's not because you have a flight in either Los Angeles or San Francisco that everybody from the West Coast originates in those cities.
Yeah.
And if you live in San Diego and your flight goes out of Los Angeles, it is still a flight for a long drive.
Indeed, yeah.
Or if you live in Fresno or in Santa Barbara,
yeah.
or somewhere anywhere
yeah.
else on
yeah.
the West Coast, and it's not just limited to California, but it's also Oregon and Washington State.
Sure.
It still requires a transit somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's probably easier to transfer before you get on a very long transatlantic flight than to transfer in Chicago or Boston or New York. But for the most part, people that do not live in a big gateway city have a transfer ahead of that. Sure.
You'll be familiar with the US market review recently conducted by Tourism Ireland in consultation with the industry. They call it a Strategy for Growth 2013-2015. Among other things, it sets the ambitious targets of increasing Ireland's market share of US visitors to Europe from 8 to over 9 percentage points. And an additional 20% growth in actual visitor numbers over the next 3 years. That's close to an additional 200,000 annual visitors by 2015. Do you think those targets they're certainly ambitious, but do you think they're realistic?
Well, again, if my crystal ball was very clear, then I could give you an honest answer, and it would be something that we could bet something on. When markets are depressed, it is difficult for markets to recover. And while the economy in the United States is getting better, it is still a little bit wobbly depending on what viewpoint you take and where you reside in the United States. I think what the government here is trying to do is a good thing, and it is trying to reposition Ireland as the destination of choice for people of Irish descent residing in the United States. But I think the increase will also come from people like myself that do not have Irish blood running through my veins, even though I consider myself as an honorary Irishman. But there is a lot that this country offers that other countries have not. And to just put things in perspective, historically, the diaspora has brought in a lot of visitors to rediscover Ireland. Switzerland, for example, doesn't have that. Belgium doesn't have that. There's very few people that visit Scandinavia that are actually of Scandinavian descent. And there's opportunities there. I had a good discussion last night about all the things that Ireland can offer for people that do not have solid feet on the ground.
Sure.
And that's where the opportunity is. In addition to still remaining with the diaspora of 70 million or so in around the world, and 20 or 30 of which reside in the United States. But there is good opportunity for Ireland to position itself as the destination of choice, even first entry, so first overseas trips that Americans might take. And it's not just about the golf and the sunshine and the good food and everything else, but there's so many hooks that we can tap into, and I think that's where the opportunity is. So I am aligned with the government in trying to get as many people to Ireland as possible. And is the plan ambitious? Yes, of course it is, but then a plan needs to be ambitious for it to work, or for it to get traction.
Well, that's a very good point. And just to finish up, you mentioned the diaspora there. Has the gathering had a meaningful impact in the marketplace this year, do you think?
What I see is, and what we see is, that there's more people coming to Ireland this year than last year, especially on an escorted tour, and there's good traction on the FIT side of the business as well. Whether we can attribute that to the gathering or not, honestly, it's too early to tell, and we don't know. We have people that call up and said, I've read about the gathering, I've heard about the gathering, what is it all about? And we explain it to them, or we drive them to the gathering website. If that has now resulted in the double-digit growth or not, honestly, I don't know. Do I care? I care more about bringing more people to Ireland, not because of the gathering, but simply because it's the destination of choice, and we want it to be staying like that. The gathering is a great event. It gives us extremely good PR. It gives us a good marketing tool. It gives us something to talk about. It is time to not forget 2014 and beyond, and we just don't want the gathering to be a bump where we have more visitors and then it slumps again. So that is something that we have to be mindful of. The gathering has a good impact. If it's all of the gathering, I doubt it, honestly. And I just hope that the initiatives that the government and the private sector in Ireland have undertaken will continue past this year as well.
Thank you. That's a very good point indeed. And of course, the business does have to go on beyond 2013, yes. And Ireland is the destination ultimately. But the gathering gives differentiation for 1 year at least, anyway, from Absolutely. Our competitors. So yes. It's good from that point.
And it sort of sets Ireland completely apart from the pack.
Excellent.
And from
indeed.
the other countries in Europe that do not have a marketing initiative where everybody is standing behind. And it's good in a way that the gathering is spread over 365 days, and that there's not just 1 or 2 or 3 big events as other countries have trialed in years past. So there is something to be had and to discover and to be enjoyed throughout the year, not just for a few weeks.
Sure. Well, thank you, Nico, for that. Our viewers will be familiar that over the past couple or 3 years we haven't had too many bouncy DVDs with good news, but it's nice to see that turning, and thank you for contributing.
Yes, knocking wood, and I'm hoping that the solid trend that we've seen will continue and that Ireland will have a gangbuster year.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.